Shalom, giving honor and praise unto Yah, the creator and the maker of heaven and earth. We are back in Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, part 4. Now, we're going to go over Deuteronomy 28, verse 68 one more time again in the Hebrew. And it says this: Weheshib kaya mitzrayim, ba'aniyot, ba'derek, asher amarti laka lo tosif od lir'ota, wahit makartem sham lo oebeka, la abadim walish fakot, wa ein quone. Now, wanted to sit there and go over a couple of things so that way let it be known and understood. One of those things being the Hebrew word wahit makartem. Now, in the regular standard English version of Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, we read the following. And this is one of the most important things to point out concerning this because it's actually not translated verbatim. It says in the English, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spoke unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies, for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you." Now, the point that I'm trying to emphasize on when I'm stating that it's not translated accurately is the part that says, "and you shall be sold." That's not accurately translated. The Hebrew, where they're getting the word sell or sold from, is the root word makar. Okay, now the word makar means to sell. The Hebrew word nimkar means to be sold. So as we went over before, when you have what is referred to as the qual stem, which is the active, and then you got the nifal, which is the passive. So you got makar to sell, nimkar to be sold. The word that we see here is the Hebrew word wahit makartem, which literally means "and you shall sell yourself." It doesn't mean you shall be sold. It means you will sell yourself. Wahit makartem sham lo oibeka la abadim walish vakot wa ein quone. Now, one of the things I wanted to sit there and show for evidence purposes, brothers and sisters, is the root of that word makar, so that way we can gain some understanding concerning this type of matter right here. I have a book here that's not commonly used, but is used by some. It is called 501 Hebrew Verb Books, right? And in this book right here, we're going to go over a particular part on page 364. So that way we can gain some understanding concerning this matter in 365. Okay, now let's go over this right now. The word that we see here, makar, mem, kaf, resh, to sell, right? Mokir, that being the present tense. Now, the word that you see in Deuteronomy 28 is the root word here, hit makir, which means to devote oneself, to become addicted. Now, wahit makartem, hit makartem. Now, this letter you see right here is a nun sofit. That's just signifying masculine, plural, past tense, feminine, plural, past tense. That's all that you see right here. That's signifying that. Now, when it says hit makartem, this hey and tau shows that is the reflexive, the hipael stem. And as we just saw up here, it says to devote oneself, to become addicted. It also means, brothers and sisters, to sell oneself. So that's exactly what Deuteronomy 28, verse 68 is talking about. When you read the word sold, it literally means you will devote yourself or sell yourself. All right, so that's what that's talking about right there. It is not, I repeat, it is not saying, brothers and sisters, you shall be sold. That's not what it's saying there. Okay, so let that be known and understood. So Deuteronomy 28, verse 68 again, in the Hebrew. All right. Weheshib kaya mitzrayim ba'aniyot, ba'derek asher amarti laka lo tosif od lir'ota. Now, when it says lo tosif od lir'ota, it shall not be added again for you to see it. Wahit makoratim, and you shall devote yourself, Sham, there, lo oibeka, to your enemies, la abadim, for male servants, walis fakot. Now, the Hebrew word shifka, brothers and sisters, literally means like a female slave times two. Now, when you go into the book of Exodus, chapter 21, you read about the Hebrew word ama, which means a maidservant. And ama is not the same as a shifka. Okay, so let that be understood. Walish fakot, the Hebrew word shifka is the root of that. Wa'ain quone. Ain means there is no or there is not. Quone. Now, in a lot of cases, you will have it to where the root word qana, which means to buy, it means to acquire, it also means to possess. All right, now I wanted to sit there and show how in the Hebrew understanding, the Hebrew word qana also means to redeem. So, if we will, let's go into the book of Nehemiah. We're going to go into the book of Nehemiah, the 5th chapter. We're going to start in the 8th verse. Nehemiah 5, verse 8. In the English, it reads as follows. So that way we all can gain some understanding concerning this type of matter right here. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for following along. It says, "And I said unto them, We, after our ability, have redeemed our brethren the Jews, who were sold unto the heathen. And will ye even sell your brethren, or shall they be sold unto us? Then held they their peace and found nothing to answer." Now, one of the things to point out, when we go into the book of Nehemiah 5, verse 8 in the Hebrew, it says this. Wa omra lahem, anaknu quaninu et akenu, hayhudim, wanim karnim lagoyim, kadei banu, wagam atem tim kiru et akekim, wanim kiru lanu, wayakarishu lan walo mat'u dabar. So, brothers and sisters, the key word to point out in this particular part is the part where we look right here, brothers and sisters, and we distinctly see in the Hebrew, Wa omra lahem, and I said unto them, Anaknu quaninu. Now, those very familiar or concerned with Hebrew, omra, is the future tense, but with the wow consecutive, also known as the wow hakipuk, that is made from future into past in biblical Hebrew. So that way one can gain some understanding. Wa omra lahem, anaknu quaninu. Now, this root word right here, quaninu, is the word where they translate, we have redeemed. It's the same root word that's used in Deuteronomy 28, wa'ain quone. All right, so I want to sit there and let that be known and understood. Now, when you go into a reference book concerning Hebrew verbs, just using it for a reference, all right, the same 501 Hebrew verb books, we're going to look and see the word Qana, the kuf, the nun, and the hey. Now, most Israelites, not to be argumentative, pronounce this letter here, which some say is kuf. We pronounce it as kuf with a QU or a KW. There's nothing sit there to throw stones over. We all know what we're saying. Qana, which means buy, purchase, acquire, win, gain, or get. So now, the root that we're talking about is in the past tense, where it says simply quaninu. The same root word that you see in the book of Nehemiah chapter 5, verse 8. Right? Anaknu, quaninu. These being here the pronouns. I, you masculine, you feminine, he, she, we, you all masculine, you all feminine, they masculine, they feminine. Quaniti, quanita, quanit. Qana, quanta, quaninu, quinitem, quanu. Now, one of the things to point out, I wanted to sit there and state, is Qana is the absolute root of it. And quanta, if you see the hey, turns into a tau. Because hey and tau are feminine letters. All right, so That just goes to show you exactly how the Hebrew works. So Qana he bought, Quanta she bought. So let that be known and understood. So Deuteronomy 28, when you read Wa'ain Kone, brothers and sisters, that is saying there is no buyer, no purchaser, no one to acquire, no one to win, no one will gain, no one will get. And as we see in in Nehemiah chapter 5, verse 8, there's no redeemer. So let that be known and understood from the Hebraic understanding of where the people's mind was in Hebrew. Now, another thing, brothers and sisters, in concluding this part out here with Deuteronomy 28 in the Hebrew, is that it's very important to know and understand that, because as we have seen, there was a mistranslation with being sold and selling oneself. All right, so now let's get back into this verb book so that way we can gain some understanding of what is being presented. Right now, this is what I'm talking about right here. This word here, makar, to sell, and this word here, to be sold. The nif'al stem being nimkar. All right, so that would be nimkar t, I was sold. Nimkar ta, you were sold, masculine. Nimkart, you were sold when speaking to a female. Nimkar, you were sold when speaking, or he was sold, Nimkar. But as we can see, brothers and sisters, in Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, we don't see that word Nimkar. We see the Hitpa'el, which is, as stated, brothers and sisters, the reflexive. The reflexive in this case being that which is done to you. So, how should Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, then, with this knowledge, be read? It should be read as such in the English. The Most High, He will cause you to go back into the distress of the sea in ships. In the path in which I said to you, it shall never be added to sea again. And there you will devote yourselves to your enemies as bond servants and bond maid servants, and there is no redeemer. So what that means is, when you are devoting yourself and you're selling yourself and there's no redeemer, you're going to keep on trying to accept me, accept me, accept me, accept me, and nobody's going to accept you. Okay, so that's an understanding with that. So hopefully we gain some understanding concerning that. Next is the last part concerning this is Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, part 5, in which we'll get into more so debunking the ideas that many people have concerning the Israelites in Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, only being, or if at all, in reference with Titus of Rome. Shalom.